Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of A Long Dark Night Development. This past week, I've been working under the hood on some of the scene management and structure, code systems for this game. Our game is a narrative game that's organized very similar to a screenplay with scenes and conversation and events that happen within each scene. And so managing all of these scenes and being able to have scene dependencies and be able to flip through scenes and have various settings gets very, very complicated as soon as you have like a lot of scenes. So this week, I kind of worked on the manager for that. So zooming out, this is basically the entire game as it's written so far, from basically top left to bottom right. And each one of these gray boxes roughly is a different scene that has different settings. If I flip over to Unity, this is my scene manager. Each scene, if I just collapse this, you can see there's actually 4 scenes loaded right now. There's the boat, which is the main scene, which contains like the key characters, like the actual music and some of the more important items for this specific scene. They're in this one. And then this scene actually has 3 dependencies that are loaded with it. And so we have some general managers, we have the actual world, and we have like some weather. So the world and the weather are shared between a lot of scenes. So they've been separated out into dependencies that are loaded with various other scenes. The main scene, the boat, has a scene manager, and this is the big object that basically allows me to manage what's going on throughout the game. And so, it does some scene specific things like animations when the scene is loading in and out. But then it has this section here, which is basically the information about the current scene. And so this is the boat. It's got some, the path and everything and blah, 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 blah. It can do things like whenever this scene is loaded, maybe set the time scale or set the screen orientation. This isn't really important for this game, but for mobile games, I have the same system. And then it has dependencies. And so when you see managers, world, and weather here, those are dependencies. And so I have now the ability to add dependencies, which loads a menu where I can choose any of the scenes in the game and add them as a dependency. And if I do that, then anytime this scene is loaded, that will be loaded with it. And this is actually pretty efficient because if I have, say, the boat moves to a scene called the house and both depend on the world will actually stay loaded and just the main scene will switch. So, these scenes, loading them in and out is kind of an intense process, especially when you have lots of objects and big terrain pieces. So it's nice to keep, the shared stuff, loaded. And then everything from here down on the scene manager, this is how I control all of the scenes. So I have basically a scene database that allows me to, if I just rebuild it, load all the scenes basically. I can create a scene, so I have a menu that pops up where I can, select, the current folder or whatever and make a new scene and then have it create with its various information. And then I have 3 ways of viewing all of the scenes that are currently in the project. I have the path view, which is, organized basically by the way they are in my folder, like file folder. So like, they're all in the assets folder. And since I have this story folder with a bunch of subfolders that are all numbered basically based on the chapter, this is a very helpful view for seeing the scenes in like story order. So like as you go down, pretty much this is the actual flow of the game. I can also render these scenes alphabetically, and I can also render them according to the build list. So when I actually go to build this game and like ship it to various platforms, I can see which scenes are included and which are not. And so right now, pretty much all of them are included and they're in this order. So when you open the app, the main menu is the first one, and that's what you see first. And everything else is pretty much not that important. The first scene is really the important one. Now going back here, you can see these little boxes to the left of all of these entries. If I go ahead and just check that, this is my basically fold out to see the actual settings for each one of these scenes. So similar to how this part of the scene manager shows you the settings for the currently loaded scenes, if you want to see this information for any of the other scenes, you can use these toggles to fold out the settings and see what's going on, in these. And you can change things and just, high level check everything is configured correctly. And then I have the load button here. So if I ever just want to like open a scene, I can go ahead and click that, and it might take a second because I'm screen recording, but eventually it will open, hopefully with its dependencies as well. Da-da-da. There it goes. So now we loaded that scene and we've got everything with it. So this is a super helpful system. I mean, previously, before I had this index and way of managing all the scenes and loading them kind of conveniently in one place, I would have to go through my files and look for them one by one to open them and edit the settings and everything. And that was just a nightmare and not scalable. So I'm really excited that I have this view all in one place, where I can manage all the scenes and start building the actual game. So my main goal right now that I have this all cleaned up, is to basically implement each of these scenes as simply as possible. So maybe no even graphics really, just like maybe just words on the screen showing how the conversation plays out. But the ability to basically, start the game and then flip through scenes as the actual game will, generally seeing what conversations are happening along the way, with no animations, like no models, no prettiness, no sound effects, no nothing, just getting the actual structure of the game built. And then once I have that done, I can see how the actual story feels. We can really test the screenplay-ness of this game, and then go back and start actually beautifying these scenes one by one, adding in the models, adding in the animations, adding in the various, set decorations and bits of polish that actually make the game, visual and interactive and fun to play. But right now it's about the story. So that's how things have been going. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully it was interesting. Thank you guys for staying with me till the end. If you want to learn more about this game, there'll be information in the description. And if you have any interest in using my scene manager, all my code is usually published somewhere online. You can reach out, and I'm happy to share it. I do update a lot of my systems regularly. I publish them under Iron Mountain. It's a itch.io page with all my packages, and they're all free. So just reach out if you're interested in stealing any of my systems. But yeah, besides that, please wishlist our game if you're interested in supporting development. And yeah, catch you in the next one. Cheers.